All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Geekdom Initiative. As usual, I am Jedi Master Tuck, filling in for the head geek Ben, and as always, I have Dave with me. Dave, how are we doing today, sir?
I am doing fantastic, ready to talk about Lost. Lost, something I love doing. We missed a week, but I'm excited to get back on the horse, show up at my friend's funeral, still covered in his blood.
Yeah, right. Uh, awesome, man. Yeah, now this is episode 21, The Greater Good. This is a Saeed episode, so very excited to get into this one. But yeah, Dave, where do you want to start at with this one, man? What are your initial thoughts?
Well, this is one of those episodes that I don't know if it is placement in the season or just what surrounds it, but this and next week's episode are a bit of a lower spot for me in Lost. I don't know if it's just coming off that insane two episodes that we had with Do No Harm and Deus Ex Machina. I don't know if it's just coming off those two amazing episodes that you come to this and you're like, this is still good Lost. And I do like this episode. It's just not one of my favorites, even though, I'm always here for my man Saeed Jarrah.
Of course, no, um, I would say I like this episode a little bit more, just because I do like the little bit more of the story that we get with Saeed, the backstory and just sort of what he's had to go through, um, and I always like, even though they obviously do it with a lot of the characters, I always like how we figure out how they got on that plane in particular.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because
that
he
is something I really
specifically,
like.
yeah, because he specifically is like, no, I'll claim the body, and you just move my plane, my ticket to tomorrow. So,
I'll fly tomorrow. Yeah. I
right.
think
So I go
that's
ahead.
something I love about Saeed. He's always willing to do. Uh, he is probably one of the more morally gray characters that we have on the show, but
Sure.
he's also in a lot of ways the most moral character on the show. He back in White Rabbit when they were talking about burning the bodies, he was the one who's saying we can't do that without any knowledge of their religions, their wants, their desires. Uh, so he's always taking into consideration what others have wanted, and him doing this for his friend in Australia, even though that doing that right thing eventually is what puts him on the island, is a really great testament to his character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, Saeed does a lot of things in this series overall that are obviously not the best things to do.
No.
But at the same time, when he does them on the island, at least, we understand. I think there's more of an understanding why he's doing it in those situations, and it's not just, oh, I'm gonna go back to who I was. It's
Yeah.
this is a different type of situation. There's really actually important information we need in this situation.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sawyer, but you gotta take some bamboos underneath the fingernails right now because I need. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not right, but it's not really wrong at the same time in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure. Since we're talking about like what he did to get on the plane, why don't we just go right to the
Sure,
flashbacks of this episode? So
sure, yeah, yeah,
these flashbacks are involve the Australian Secret Service, or they had some dumb name that I looked up, and that is not the name of their
yeah.
intelligence agency. Um,
It was a weird. It was really long. I was like, this. That's
it-
a really long name
yeah,
for it.
that's what tipped me off. That I was like, no, this isn't the real Australian thing. It's not like
Yeah,
CIA. Um, but the FBI or the CIA and Australian CIA recruit Saeed to join a terrorist cell so they can find explosives in return for giving him information on where Nadia is. What do you think about the of this storyline? Not obviously there's twists and turns that we'll get into in it, but what do you think about the premise of this flashback?
Yeah, I don't like that they use Nadia, but at the same time, what else are they going to use against him
Yeah.
at this point? I mean, he's done his time as for his crimes as far as being a soldier and what he did in the war. Right at this point, he's already
Yeah, this is oh yeah, this is well all
he's
those
not on the run or anything at this point.
no. He
Right.
we when we get to those episodes we'll figure out, but he has like a pretty
Yeah.
easy exit from the military, and
Right.
that's all already
So
happened.
yeah, so they really have nothing else to use against him. I mean,
Mhm.
they could arrest him just because, but they need him. So of course, they're going to manipulate him, and yeah, this makes the most sense. I don't like it, but it makes the most sense. I think.
Mhm. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I do I do like that. I had always assumed up until this point that Saeed had always known where Nadia is. It's one of those things where, he's kept
Okay.
tabs on her. But Saeed, we talked about this way back during Solitary. Saeed is a kind of guy who just won't cut himself a break, where he believes like he's done something wrong and he is just gonna just flagellate, not flagellate, that means to poop yourself, but he's gonna torture himself internally by keeping himself away from the people he loves to atone for his sins. So I like the idea that we find out no, he wasn't necessarily looking for Nadia, and he's not this all-knowing specter, but he gets that information in this episode. That is something I really do appreciate. It's one of the only things I
Sure.
like about the flashbacks, because I think even though it feels. Did you ever watch 24?
No. Oh,
So
did you
it
lose me
feel,
for a second? Did I lose you?
I did. I did just for a second. I think the answer was no, though.
I've seen episodes. I just haven't seen the whole show all the way through.
Another Vi. I don't think. Honestly, I don't even think either someone has seen the whole thing through. There's like 57 seasons of that show. But
Yeah,
I
right.
would say the. But this feels kind of like an episode of 2024 where he's got to
Hmm.
infiltrate this terrorist organization, and it just so happens that he's got a friend down there. I don't like the emotional
Sure.
manipulation that goes on, because I'm just like, I feel so bad for. I didn't write down his friend's name.
No, yeah, I don't remember now. I watched it earlier
Isam.
last week, so Hassan. Okay, yeah,
Isan. Or Sam. I don't like. I feel so bad for him the entire time, because he doesn't want. Saeed needs to talk him into committing this act of terrorism and being a suicide bomber.
yeah,
Like he signs up for the job and then gets cold feet and talks to Saeed about it, and it's like, hey man, this is not like Islam teaches us that all life is sacred and we shouldn't be bombing people. How can I
hmm
do that even though I want revenge? And Saeed's got, and the line, I hate the line from the FBI handler who's like, you got to go talk your good friend Assam into blowing himself up. I'm like,
Oh
what
yeah, I
the?
know.
That's
Yeah,
messed up, dog.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. But it's hard because I feel like Saeed did this, and he tried, man. He tried because when he met with them, he's like, look, he's not a part of this. The
Yeah.
guys you want are the other two. Like he's not a part of this. He's trying to do the best he can, man, and they just keep pushing him back and farther back into a corner. And it
Yeah.
sucks because again, he's trying to make the right decision and he just can't no matter what. He just can't make he's almost pushed not to make the right decision every time, and it sucks. It sucks.
I
It's a
think
tough position to be in.
this is also one of the only times we see Saeed acting purely selfishly. Saeed's a pretty
Yeah.
selfless person. And I think we even see that mirrored in the way this episode denigrates his relationship with Shannon, where in this instance he's choosing Nadia above all others, but on the island he's going to choose all others over Shannon.
Okay. Okay.
So I think
See,
that
I see it more of, yes, it's a selfish, obviously, because initially he's doing it to find Nadia. We know that.
yeah,
But I feel like in the beginning, even though it is selfish, he's not in it to get to you know get this guy in trouble. He's in it to try to help him. Still, I think he just gets in over his head. He's too deep in it, and they manipulate him at that point because they know they have her over his head.
that's fair. That is a fair thing to say. And I think at the end he does try to get Assam out, where
Yeah,
he said
right.
where he comes clean and he says, hey, they don't even care about you. They just want the C4. You got 15 minutes, and then I'm going to call them."
Yeah,
And even though Saeed, every time I watch that scene,
man.
every time I do, and I know Saeed's on the island, but I'm like, oh no, Saeed's gonna die.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree, man. When he puts the gun in his, like in his shoulder, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm like, oh man. But yeah, no, yeah, he's not, but
I'm like, I've seen the future, but every time I'm like, he's got a gun in his face and a truck full of explosives. How is Saeed getting out of this one?
Although that would have been a cool thing if they did do that, throw that in there where each flashback there's like a moment where the person was supposed to die, but we don't see them die, and that's how they explain that they're all actually dead, like on the island.
They're not dead on the island.
I know. I'm saying if they would have went that route, that could have been a cool way of doing it.
We can't be responsible for
No,
almost
we're not spreading that conspiracy.
For almost 2 decades. We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of Lost next year. We need to break the belief that they were dead the whole time. We have a responsibility.
I don't think it's a belief. At least I don't believe that that's true. But I think it's still a fun theory to think about. At least, though, it is still fun. Because it does fit for a lot of things. It does fit for a lot of things.
I got too many friends who, when they hear I like Lost, are like, "Oh, but they were dead the whole time, David." And I'm like, they weren't dead the whole time. They were never dead. They died sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. I got you. I got
a specific nerve.
I understand, man. I understand.
Speaking, going back to the flashbacks, we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff. Can I talk about a new running joke that I've noticed in Lost with this episode? So when Saeed meets Assam at the mosque and asks him what he does, Assam says, "I'm a tree cutter," and Saeed says, "A tree cutter," and then Assam responds, "Yeah, we cut trees." Similar to whenever anybody asks John Locke what he does, he says, "Oh, we're going to box company. They make boxes." And I am curious. Okay. I've never noticed that before, but I laughed my ass off. Is that going to be a running joke that I've just never noticed? Like, are we going to get to Santa Rosa and someone's going to be like, "Yeah, a crazy institution. A crazy institution. Yeah, an institution for crazies."
Possibly. I didn't notice that connection, but now that you say it, yeah, because I do remember him saying that we cut trees. That is funny. We make boxes. Yeah,
it's the exact same. It was with the same cadence that Boone and Locke would say it to each other as well, and I'm just like, huh. Is this going to be something?
That is fun. Okay.
That's like Jack, cool. Is Jack at some point gonna be like, "I'm a doctor"? Yeah, I work at the docks. That's my Jack impersonation. It's just like a little sniffly. That's my Jack impersonation.
A little sniffly,
he's really cool, but he's just got a little cold the whole time. Not a big one, just a little one.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Just
we
can't get
already
over
talked
the
about.
cold, man.
Yeah, well, they're on a tropical island. The nights are cold.
He's just a doctor. I mean, you can't expect him to, you know,
Yeah,
be in good health too.
yeah. They have. He hasn't had hand sanitizer in weeks.
Right, right. Oh man, how has nobody
Um,
died from raw, like pig, raw, meat poisoning yet? There's no, they don't have any salt to keep it good.
well, you got to remember, there's like 44 people, so when you bring back
That's
one
true.
pig, there's no leftovers.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair enough. That's fair. That's fair.
Um, that honestly is all I have to say about the flashbacks.
Yeah, again, they're not the best flashbacks, but I just like I said, I think the way what it adds to his backstory, and again, I think what it adds, or how it shows how he gets on the plane, I think is really fun too. I do like that
Yeah.
part of it. So
Oh, you know what?
it's
I
messed up.
do.
It's a super messed up. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
I do like when he gets introduced to the terrorist cell. The whole,
Oh,
the
when they're
whole.
like playing the video games and the
Well,
and the
okay, actually, this
that
bothers me.
meeting scene. Okay, okay.
I didn't want to bring this up, but you brought up video games. They're
Uh,
playing Half Life, but
okay.
two people are playing. Half Life, famously a
Is a
single
one
player
player.
game.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And then they were
That
talking
is
about
true.
switching to the crowbar because it does better on zombies. First of all, they're not really zombies in Half Life. It's a whole thing from another dimension, but whatever. I just
We're not
I hate
explaining Half Life on here. We are not doing.
no, I don't have time for that. We don't have a lot to talk about in this episode, but we definitely don't have time to talk about Half
No.
Life.
Oh my god. No.
Um,
Oh.
but then we get a little bit. The thing I wanted to talk about is we get the first hints of Spyed, as I like to call him, which is
Okay.
Saeed being a spy, where he's like, he finds the listening device in the smoke detector. He's like,
Mm.
look at all these idiots. They're smoking. Now, do you think that the Australian government told him, hey, we have a listening device in their smoke detector. This is how you're going to gain their trust. Or do you think Saeed's just that good?
I think it's possible either way. I mean, I think Saeed would be able to figure that out. I mean, in the way they make it look in the show, he does notice them smoking and right
Mhm.
underneath of it, and he's like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense." So,
No wonder Saeed is immediately interested with the suicide bombing. Like, they
which
look
my thing
around.
is this: how did they not know that?
I think that just really, they, bad criminals.
Yeah, just bad. Yeah, they're just like the lower, like the super low cell, like this,
Like,
like
there's a
nobody knows
reason.
about them.
There's a reason Saeed was able to so quickly gain their
Yeah.
trust. These are not the sharpest. Uh,
I'm sorry if a dude walked in, even if my dude, cell partner, whatever, trusted him and was his best friend, and he just pulled out an FBI bug from the thing. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, it was destiny that you two met." Like 5 seconds later, like that's where it's gonna come out. It's gonna be like, you might. I don't know, but I don't trust you yet.
I
I don't.
think if he does that, and I'm the leader of this terrorist cell. Clip that out if you want to if you want to destroy my political career.
Oh my god.
That's for the when the deep fakes of all of us come out.
Oh my
It's gonna
god.
be
Yeah.
me being like me running ISIS. Now I've said ISIS, so they have me saying it on camera.
Oh man.
Anyway,
We're
but
canceled.
if they, but if he finds a bug that quickly, the leader of that cell has to look at himself and be like, man, I've got to make some changes. I am not doing a good terrorism here.
Actually, that's a good point. Why do they continue with the plan if they know they're being bugged?
Well, I think
Or at least so fast. Like, why didn't they take some time away? Like, no, let's lay low for months and chill out because now they know we're about to do
I
something.
think I think they do chill for at least a little bit because we get a couple scenes.
Okay, is there time?
Of,
Okay, I was gonna say because
like it's definitely not the next day because we have that whole scene where Saeed and Assam are playing football outside of
yeah,
the
no,
city
it feels like
operating.
time passes, but it doesn't feel like it's been like like a long time, like maybe a few weeks to a month.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's felt
but
like.
we kind of talked about this beforehand, but
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these organizations know that they're being bugged at all times.
Oh, they
But
have to. Yeah, yeah.
so I think finding that really is not too much as a finding that probably just tells them, all right, we haven't said anything here, and now we know we can. Blah 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 blah. And
Plus, they never show that apartment again, so maybe they just moved right away.
that's true. That's why the scene ended. Everyone started packing. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
we gotta
we're like, all right,
go.
let's get the hell out of here. Bring the Half-Life with you and the second controller.
Like, was it one of those rigged things where you see people who like, with the Switch controllers, where someone has one joystick and the other one has the other one? Like, was it something? I don't know. It wasn't something like that.
I like to think that he just like recorded a video of himself playing and then just had his friend playing that video, playing that version. He's like, why is my controller not working?
See, I like to think that it's like what I used to do with my nephew, where I'd hand him a controller and be like, "Yeah, you're definitely playing too."
Yeah.
Worst day of my life when that 5-year-old looked at me and started crying because his controller wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Both the worst and the best. Anyway,
Definitely done that.
yeah, that's all I got to say about the flashbacks.
That's fair. Yeah. No, we can move on to the main story now. To the island.
And spoilers for, I know I come here with BTS stuff all the time. Not a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And even less that's interesting.
Okay.
So don't be expecting a lot of that from me today.
Hey, it's okay. Let's go with it. Let's go with what you got. So where do you want to start here?
What do you want to go with?
You want to start with the funeral?
Let's start with the funeral because it's the day after Boone's death.
Yeah.
And what a terrible, terrible job everyone did at this funeral. First of all, it's been at least a day.
Mm-hmm.
And this should have happened earlier because, you're in the hot sun. But Claire, Hurley, these are known public speakers.
Right.
Why are we not having them do the eulogy? Why are we forcing Shannon to give a speech right now? And then when she can't, Saeed rolls up and starts with, I didn't know Boone very well. And it's like, then why are you talking, man? And he says some very nice things about how he tried to save Joanna and blah, blah, blah. He did all this great stuff. But it's like, maybe let someone who knew him talks. And I get that he's trying to be there for Shannon, but he's kind of also not.
What if he's just like, and John Locke?
Oh, and then John Locke is like, you know what would be a super cool thing for me to do? It's been... So, Boone died at night. Yes. I dropped him off in the daytime, though. And then at night, I was banging on the hatch. So, it's been at least 12 hours since John Locke has dropped him off.
Sure.
Been pounding on the door. Why, John Locke? Are you still wearing the bloody shirt that's covered in Boone's blood? Why do you show up to the funeral? And I get that he comes out and is like, Boone was a hero. He was trying to save us. Put on a different wash your hands, man.
Do something. Yeah, absolutely, man. Do something.
And then Jack running at him.
Oh. Well, here's my thing, too. Why does Jack pause and actually let him finish? Well, I know why he pauses and listens to what he's saying. But why? Why does he pause? Why doesn't he just, no, we're going to have the fight first. Then you can say whatever you got to say.
I think it's I think exactly what I just said is going through every person. He looks like he just gutted Boone. Like,
that's fair.
If I see a man covered in blood show up at my friend's funeral. I'm not, even if I know it's the murderer of my friend shows up covered in blood, I'm gonna wait a beat and be like, oh my god, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, no,
And
that's fair. That's a fair point.
to be fair, John just shows up talking, and Jack seconds later does collapse. So maybe he was just like
Oh, sure.
amping himself up.
I will say this though too. As much as in this moment, I know we're supposed to hate Locke. Well, you still hate Locke no matter what. I guess I should say Terry O'Quinn's performance is amazing.
Yeah,
The way he sort of starts and doesn't finish sentences and pauses between and sort of gives a story but doesn't give the every detail. I just think that the performance alone is so good in that moment, man. He is really
yeah.
good in that moment.
He's fantastic delivering that scene
Yeah.
in that scene. If we want to stick with his with TOQ for a second, and maybe the more offensive thing than showing up at the funeral
Yeah.
is the next scene that he's in. Is Shannon sitting by herself, and John Locke comes to console her, give her
Yeah.
Boone's belongings, ask for her forgiveness. He says, "Hey, I get you're angry. I guess you're in grief." Blah 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 blah. John, or Don, could you tell me something? What was John Locke wearing during that conversation?
I think he was still wearing that shirt, right?
He was still wearing the bloody
Yeah, I
shirts.
was gonna say, okay. I was like, yeah, well, this is a trick question. I was like, wait a minute. So he's
He was
still
still
wearing
wearing
it.
the bloody shirt. This isn't you're talking to Jack. That's her brother's blood you're covered in. And you're sitting in the ocean. Go take a
I mean,
dip.
at least he didn't say it's dry. You can, can we hug? I mean, at least he didn't go that far.
But that scene again, and that was the moment that I really lost
Oh.
all respect for John Locke. And I
Oh
don't,
yeah, no,
it takes a long time for me to get back to believing in him. But
Yeah.
when he shows up to Shannon, still in the blood, I'm like, come on, dog. But in that scene, he does another great thing where this whole episode, he is on the verge of tears. And you can feel that. Because he has had his faith tested. He's had his legs taken away. He's been unable to open the hatch. He's
Yep.
seen the light from the island, from the hatch, and he's just so flustered. I doubt he's slept since.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah,
There's no way he slept since. I don't think he slept since before he lost Boone. Before
I
Boone
would
fell.
the day of the trebuchet. I would be willing to bet that was the last time he slept.
Yeah, I think yeah, right. That would be
So
right.
like he's doing a phenomenal job in this. And I think this is also just to give kudos to some other actors here. Someone who I don't think is necessarily an amazing actor, but Maggie Grace, Shannon, in all these scenes, and later when she is holding a gun at John's head, I think she does fantastic. She is Lost has a lot of really good scream and cry actors or actresses like her, Yunjin Kim. I forget the actress that plays Juliet. They're all very good at yell and cry acting, but Shannon, she is one of the best, and I think because the character is so despicable and unlikable in so many ways, I think we don't give her the props that she deserves, but she does a really fantastic episode, specifically in this episode.
Oh, that's fair. For sure.
You want to talk about Kate roofing Jack?
Yeah, this is actually a fun. This is a funny. We can definitely talk about that, but I love his reaction when he wakes up. But yes, let's talk about that for a minute. Yeah.
I get that he needs to sleep, but just have a conversation with him. Go talk to Son and be like, "Hey, Son, can you talk to Jack? You convinced Jack to stop doing all these things during the surgery. Could you maybe go tell him he needs to take a nap?" She jumps to drugging so quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's definitely a quick jump. Yeah, I will admit that. But I do also kind of understand it a little bit. I do because he is. Jack's not going to lay down, even if Sun comes and talks to him. Jack's not going to lay down. I mean, he's at that moment he is so fueled on rage and anger and wanting to just kill John Locke that yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think even Sun can calm him down. But yeah, she does jump to that pretty quick.
And just
Or at
remember
least
this for
I would
next
at least
week.
rather seen I would at least rather seen a scene where she has a conversation with Sun, and even Sun's like, I think yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. You know,
You know
where
what?
at least they talk it out for a minute.
They probably had a conversation, and then
Well,
Sun
they
was like,
probably did. Yeah.
the Sun was like, "Oh, poisoning. Oh, maybe we could poison Jin next week."
Ah,
Kate's gonna poison
oh
so many
man.
people.
So Kate is always the reason. It's always Kate.
she's a she's a criminal.
No, that's yeah, no, that's
You
true.
know, they do
That is
crime.
true. Yeah.
Um, but also, like, the doctor, I get that Jack is going through a lot right now,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't drug the one doctor on the island, especially when Aaron is hours old.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a good point.
Also, drugging him to the point where Shannon can come steal. Like, also, I don't do drugs a lot, but when you do drugs,
A lot.
I'm told that you should have a friend with you to make sure that you're safe and
Sure.
everything is okay. Kate,
And our
don't roofie and leave. Make sure he's safe. Kate, big demerit on you for roofing him and then allowing the gun case key to get stolen from him. Someone needs to be watching the doctor.
yeah. Yeah, I did. I thought about that too. I was like, wait a minute, she wasn't there the whole time, or not there the whole time, but at least watching the whole time.
What did she do? It's not like
Right.
what was Kate doing?
I don't know. Yeah, that was kind of weird too. That that Shannon was able to get in there so easily. I did.
Which people used to say that this was a big continuity error where only a few people knew about the gun case and stuff. But we'll find out in expose that Kate again was just telling people about the guns and that Jack had the key. Like she told Nikki and Paulo, and that's how Shannon found out. So
That's true.
Kate just bad on all ends, even the ends we don't see in this episode.
Yeah, she might be one of the worst people on on the show, man.
She, I just think, I don't think she's one of the worst people. I think the writers just, and we'll talk about this a lot. I think the writers just do not know what to do with Kate.
Okay. Okay.
And I think we talked about this near the beginning, where like Kate was supposed to be the lead of the show back in the Michael Keaton's going to be Jack days.
Okay. Okay. I see.
But then now that she's not the lead of the show, what are we going to do with her? And I
Right.
feel like they
Okay.
struggle with that. And we'll get into that a lot more next week.
She's good in the show. I mean, it's not like she's a bad character or anything.
No. I just think they give her a lot of shitty things to do.
Right.
And also I feel like sometimes it's very repetitive. Anyway, that's its topic for next week. I guess we
Yeah.
should talk about like what the meat of this episode is, which is the
Sure.
Locke and Saeed trek through the jungle.
Yes.
Which I don't think that up until this point these two have really had much major interaction.
Right. Yeah.
I know that Locke gave Saeed the knife and Saeed to come. Wow, Locke's just giving Saeed a lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
Had that whole conversation about what a weebelow is.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first, like,
It's a funny
meaty.
conversation.
Yeah. This is the first, like, meaty, like, character interaction that these two have had.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It is weird. It is weird.
especially like they are two of the bigger presences not only on the show but in like the fictional world of the island.
Sure.
Like these are two guys who should be very aware of each other. And we find out in this episode, maybe they've been a little bit more involved in each other than they even
Yeah.
realized.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because this is the Saeed trekking through the jungle with Locke,
Uh-huh.
doing his interrogation thing, is Saeed at his best, I think. This is some of Saeed's best stuff. He'll do it again next season with Michael, and then he'll do it a little bit with Juliet. But I
Yep.
love when Saeed is just like, no, I'm just talking to you. We're just having a conversation. I'm your friend Saeed. I would never torture you.
Yeah. No, it's probably my favorite back and forth, uh, just between them, or two characters in the show so far, easily, because they both know they're playing each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so well done. And I love the line where he says, he gives him the gun and he says, "Do you trust me now?" And he's like, he's like, "Do you believe in me now?" or whatever he says, and he's like, "I believe that you got caught and you were willing to adapt." Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he
yeah.
immediately is like, "Yeah, I'm not buying that. No
You
better than
gave me
that."
the gun because you got caught. That wins you adaptability, not
Yeah,
trust. I had that line written down.
right.
That
That's what
so
he did.
good.
Such a
So
great line.
good.
It is. Yeah.
I love that interaction, and I also really like the when they get to the plane and
Yeah.
John's like, it's heroin. Look at this. That's Saeed. Just takes a big old like of heroin. And it's like, well, I think we need to watch how Saeed's acting for the next couple episodes to see, is Saeed high?
Um, I did notice that. I just kind of wrote it off as he was in the military. He's at least probably came across it at some point, so he would know. But yeah, it is kind of weird that he tasted it. Yeah, that is a little weird.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I'm like, yeah, I would not know what heroin looks like if you handed it to me, and
Oh
I feel
no,
like
I
I
no,
should.
yeah, no,
Well, if it
right.
doesn't look like what it looks like on Lost and in real life, I've got problems.
I got you. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Right. I'm with you on that, man, for sure.
Um,
That's funny.
but sorry, they have the whole conversation about, hey, when Jack was trapped in a cave, and you went up to Kate, and Sawyer went to triangulate a position so you could find the distress signal, and then Sawyer broke your equipment. It was me. And I love that exchange because then it
Yeah.
leads to Saeed with a gun in Locke's face. Wow, a lot of guns in people's faces this episode.
Hmm.
Being like, why would you do that? And Locke saying, you were trying to bring people to a place that said everyone's dead. It killed them all. And back then, you wouldn't have had a reasonable debate, but maybe now you can. It's like, that's
And he's
really
not
good. They
wrong.
are
He's not
no,
wrong.
but it is kind of messed up when you think back to Confidence Man, where one of the major points in contention of, oh, Sawyer's definitely the guy who took the asthma inhalers, was Locke going, oh, it was probably Sawyer that broke your equipment. It's like, Locke, you did that. You did that, Locke.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That is definitely fair. But yeah, Locke. Oh, there's another line earlier before they get to the plane where he says, he's like, "You probably think I'm lying about the plane too," and he's like, "Oh no, there's a plane."
Yeah.
He's like, "I know what I'm being lied to. There's definitely a plane."
Saeed often gets referred to as like a human lie detector because nobody, like, he
Yeah.
immediately knows that Ben's another. I don't think anyone ever is able to successfully lie to Saeed because
Right.
he's on it. Like, he immediately clocks Michael when he comes back and is compromised. He's like, that guy's bad news. I think the only person he maybe clocks incorrectly is Ana Lucia. And to be fair, she just shot Shannon in the gut, so he's not exactly thinking right about that.
True.
But I talking about
Yeah.
them playing each other. I really like when they get to the plane and Saeed's like, "Now tell me about the hatch," and
Mhm.
Locke's like, "Oh, it could be forward or aft. Plane's got two hatches." And Saeed just immediately was like, "You're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Oh
Good for
yeah,
you."
yeah, yeah. Well, he plays it like he doesn't think he's full of shit, though.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can definitely tell. There's a second, like you said, right after he says it, he's just like, "All right, whatever, dude." He's like, "All right, that's fine. Keep
It's
lying."
not until it's not until the end of the episode where his life has fallen apart because of John that he's like, "All right, but now you are going to tell me the truth."
Right,
And I think
right, right, right.
given the right time, I think if Boone hadn't died, and I guess in this case they never found the Beechcraft, I think Locke would have gone to Saeed as somebody to bring in on the project because he's a more one of those very influential people in 815. He's a smart
Yeah,
guy, and
yeah.
Locke says in this episode that he finds that Saeed's evolved. You know, he's changed on his time on the island.
Yeah, I mean, as much as Locke does not deserve to be in charge, yeah, I don't know, man. It would be tough because I think Saeed has the demeanor to be the leader.
Oh,
He
Saeed definitely is the person
he's he's more,
who should
even though he can lose it, he has the little more level headedness. Where I think even Locke loses it too easily
for sure,
sometimes.
for sure.
Like even Locke like loses it, and you're just like, all right, dude, that's a
Oh boy.
little too much.
Um, I also love in the Trek Through the Jungle
Mhm.
when they talk about the parachuting man. They always change how Locke always changes how many years he thinks they've been there for. He's like, one of these has got to be right. He's like, probably been here about 15 years. When he was with Boone, it's like, probably been here about 25 years. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, he
like,
doesn't know.
yeah, it's like he doesn't know, and it goes back to that thing that like Locke, Locke is someone who his knowledge is a mile wide, but only an inch deep.
Yes, right.
And I really like that. Uh, so what do you think about when uh, Locke and Saeed get back to camp? And
Okay.
Locke has now seen everything, or Saeed now knows pretty much exactly what happened to Boone. He's like,
Yeah,
fell from that plane, broke his leg, blah, blah, blah. And he goes to Shannon and is like, yeah, but it wasn't his fault. And
yeah,
I believe that John Locke is the best chance of getting us off this island. Which is ironic because John Locke, that is the last thing John Locke wants to happen.
yeah. At this point, yeah.
I think ever. Like, at no point does John want to leave.
Well, and we find that out in this episode, really, more than anything, because
Yeah.
he says as much. But yeah, um, yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that he quite believes him, but I don't think that he thinks he's lying either at that moment, or at least
That's
that he
fair.
lied to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think he completely trusts him or what happened completely. Um, but I don't think he thinks he's like making something up out of nowhere. Like it's a similar story, but he's probably hiding something, kind of thing.
Yeah. And at this point, he does know, and we know, but it hasn't been
Right.
revealed yet, that Locke is lying about the hatch. He knows whatever the
Oh
hatch
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Boone mentioned it, so it's important, and Locke is still lying about it
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Well,
So
and Jack's not going to believe Saeed, right? Jack doesn't believe Saeed when he tells him that's all it is. Doesn't Jack confront Saeed about that eventually?
no, Saeed brings Jack in on the hatch thing in the finale because they have
Ah,
different
okay,
opinions.
okay, okay.
Where Saeed's
I
like,
got you.
Jack's like, all right, let's open it. And Saeed's like, what? No, I told you I thought you'd be on my side. You're on
That's
Locke's
right.
side.
I know. I remember that now. I know exactly what scene you're talking. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yep.
I think we take a week
Yep.
off from the hatch next week to deal with Doctor Arst and more poisoning.
Oh man.
And stupid little
Is
planes.
that next week too? Is that part of
That's
the
next
is the
week.
Kate? That's ours too.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so great.
that's the
That's so
reveal of
great.
Leslie Arst.
Oh man, that's so great. Okay, that's going to be a fun
Uh,
episode to talk about that for sure.
yeah, we're gonna talk about Arst and that dumbass plane. I have
Fair enough.
note that one. I don't know if I have notes so much as I have rantings. And I looked
That's
at them
fine.
the other day. I was like, man, that's a lot. Let's get some choice.
That's fine.
So,
Yeah.
what do you think about Shannon's decision to steal a gun? And after Saeed comes back and is like, I'm not going to kill Locke for you. Because we skipped it, but earlier in the episode, Shannon asked Saeed, would you kill John Locke for me? He murdered my
Yeah.
brother. He deserves it. What do you think about Shannon after Saeed says, I'm not going to do that? What do you think about her decision to say, all right, I'll kill him?
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody that loses somebody has the capability of snapping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It is a little bit harder to believe with her. It really is, because she's known as the person that needs somebody else, or that we're introduced to, at least, that needs Boone or somebody else to basically do everything for her.
Yeah.
So when he turns her down, I do understand. Like I said, it's not that it's like out of the realm of possibility. Obviously,
No.
anybody could do that, but I just don't see her as a character doing it. I don't know why. Maybe maybe I'm reading into it too much,
Uh,
but it makes sense, obviously.
I think there's a big difference between asking someone to kill someone and doing it yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
And I agree with you. You know, she has been through, in the last month, several traumatic events. Like, let's not forget that she was with the pilot part 2 excursion team who first discovered the radio signal. Like, Shannon's she's been in it for a minute. So, and then the plane crash, and the only family member that loves her, because we'll get to her stepmom. Her stepmom's terrible. Maybe
Yes.
one of the worst moms in all of Lost. We have a lot of bad dads, but Shannon's mom. Oh no, Susan, Walt's mom, definitely still the worst. But anyway,
fair enough. Yeah,
but the only family she has that loves her is dead. You know, she might be capable of this. I don't like her going to that extreme, and to the extreme of she does pull the trigger, and if not for if Saeed was a step slower, that bullet doesn't give John Locke another cool scar. John Locke's dead. So, like, that is something to keep in mind for the rest of Shannon's arc. Is she was at the point, and not only willing to, but for all intents and purposes, followed through with killing Locke.
yeah. Well, no, she takes when he's like, "You never fired a gun before," and she takes that warning shot. She easily could have. I guess I think it was to the right from our point of view. She could have swung to the right where nobody was standing, but she literally pointed in between Saeed and Locke, and they were still pretty close together when she did it. It was I would have been like, "Whoa!" Like, all right, like, calm yourself down a little here. Like, you're shooting right at us when you have all that open space here. You can take your little warning shot at.
You know, to be fair, if you're gonna shoot, if Jack, Kate, and Saeed come running out of the woods, Jack just roofied. Kate,
that's true. Yeah.
the smallest of the three, and Saeed, physically fit, former soldier. You've seen him do like some karate fighting with Sawyer. It's like, I'm gonna take the warning shot over at Saeed.
Oh, what I'm saying is, I don't know. I would just be like, look, I get your piss, but don't point that shit over here. Like, that's
Hey.
I was
Yeah, I guess.
like, whoa, like a little bit. Let's calm down just a little bit here. I don't know. I just think it's a weird thing that happens. It's just it made me like I was just thinking about it when it was happening. I'm just like it's a weird because they're literally like her and our Saeed and Locke are like right next to each other. There's
Yeah.
not much space in between them that she shoots at.
I
It's just
always, whenever I think about this scene, I always
yeah,
think
yeah.
that this is how the hatch gets revealed to the larger audience. I'm always like, yeah, Shannon misses and she shoots the hatch. Like, it goes into the jungle and you hear like a ting sound. That doesn't happen. But I've always that's always how I remember this scene playing out. But it's not, you know. Saeed tackles Shannon to the ground. Where is this where Shannon dies?
What do you mean?
Like, is the location where she is holding Locke at gunpoint? I'm trying to
Oh,
picture the scene from Collision in
right,
season
right, right.
two. And I'm like, this may be the exact point where
I mean, it could be for
Shannon
sure.
dies. Because it's within walking distance of the camp. I get no, where she dies, I guess, is on the other side of the golf course. And I guess they're closer because they get there pretty quick.
I honestly I don't know. So
Never mind. I need one of these days. I'm gonna need a map, but
I know, right?
one of those
That
like
would be cool.
I'd love like one of those like Breath of the Wild style maps where it like shows like all right they crashed here and then Jack, Kate, and Charlie went up and they came back and then everyone went up and you're like I'd love that.
By the end, it's just a bunch of lines everywhere.
It's like yeah, it's like wow they all went back to America for a while. That's cool. Yeah, that's really other than Sawyer being the secret sauce for putting Turnip Head to sleep. That's really all I've got to say about this episode.
Yeah, I don't think we missed. I don't think we really missed anything. Again, I think at this point, like you said, I think this is where you really hate Locke, though, right? This is the turning point for Locke at the end by this episode.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the episode where he
Well,
has a
yes,
conversation with Shannon.
bro. Yeah. No, I got you. But this episode in general, I mean, is where you're just like, all right. As much as you do some things that I want to be on your side on, you're just too much, man. You're just too much at this point.
Yeah, this is very much the. This is the first time Jack hits, or Locke hits like an all-time low in not only our opinions, but the opinions of the other castaways. I think, like this is an all-time low for him.
Sure, for sure.
And he will top it eventually. He'll have several other all-time lows.
Wow. Yeah.
But this is definitely a low point for us hating him.
Yeah, I think he's got to be hated in the end.
Yeah. Only thing I'll say about this episode is I think that Shannon's I think this should have been a Shannon flashback, not a Saeed flashback episode, because I think viewing things through viewing her grief through her rather than Saeed, I think would have been a little bit more, done a lot more service for the character. But I understand Saeed's a main character and we got to give him his spotlight. But I think if you took her flashback episode from next season and put those flashbacks in this episode, I don't know if it's a stronger episode because I haven't watched Abandoned in a while, but I'm willing to bet I don't feel so weird about this episode.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, guys, let us know where you think. I think that's where we're going to end it at. Let us know what you think in the comments, though. Let us know what you thought about crazy Saeed, or Saeed, a crazy, crazy lock, and um, and the Saeed flashbacks. I know, crazy Saeed. That's what we need. That is what we do need at least once.
We'll
Well, we
get
do get
it.
it a few times. No, we do
Yeah.
get it a few times, yeah, for
And
sure.
he is a zombie for the last season, so like we get crazy Saeed.
True, that is true. But yeah, guys, join us on our journey to 1,000 subscribers. We are trying to get to 1,000 still. Please hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Um, Dave, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
You can find me over on the Northern Entertainment YouTube channel every Tuesday on Have You Seen This? 8 Central, 8 Eastern, talking about all the greatest in TV news, TV watch-alongs. What are we watching? Are we watching Last of Us? Are we watching Star Wars? Only I'm watching Star Wars. There's about to be way more Star Wars. Too much
Yes.
Star
Oh
Wars.
man,
Oh yeah,
can't
Mando
wait,
starts in a couple days.
dude. You should come on for a couple episodes, man, for
I'd
sure.
love to. You know what? If we can make something happen, I'd love to do it. You know, we're me and my wife. We're
Okay.
just about to finish our. We're gonna. I think next week we're gonna finish Clone Wars. So this will be. It's an exciting
Okay.
time. It's just got all that stuff fresh in my head.
Absolutely, man. Oh, I love
Yeah,
Clone Wars. I
but
just
yeah,
started rewatching Mando right now, so I'm just to
you're,
catch up again.
you're a little late, dog. Like you got
Yeah, I know I am a
you got
little
two
behind,
days,
but
man, dude.
I
You got
know.
some sick days in you.
No, no. I remember most of it, but I'm just,
Yeah.
watching certain things. But
Uh,
yeah,
but
can't
yeah,
wait.
go over there, check it out, subscribe. Uh, we got a
Yes.
lot of good stuff. March is going to be crazy for us between Succession, Ted Lasso, 2 Star Warses, Survivor, and Big Brother Canada. The death of Teletoon? What's going on? Does Teletoon
Nice.
mean anything to you as an American?
No, I do not know that reference.
It was
Sir.
like our version of Cartoon Network.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
They
Fair enough.
officially killed it this week in favor of Cartoon Network Canada, and it's very sad,
Oh,
especially for people in like I get their mid to late 20s who like grew up on that stuff. Oh, it's very sad.
I got you. Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair, dude. One of my favorite comedy sketch shows of all time is Kids in the Hall. I
Yep, yep,
love
yep.
that show, man. The original Kids in the Hall, I should say.
For sure, for sure.
The reboot is okay. It's okay,
It's okay.
but it's okay.
What about you? Where can they find
But
you?
yeah, guys. Yes, you guys can find me on Twitter. Thank you for that. You guys can
You're
find me
always
on
asking
Twitter
me. You know, gotta reciprocate.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Or at Jedi Master Tuck on Twitter. You guys can also find me in the Facebook groups, guys, Benverse and the Multiverse of Geekdom. And you can find me on the Multiverse of Geekdom pretty much every day. Have shows going every day. And we also have a big announcement coming soon, guys. So please look out for
Ooh.
that. It is out a little bit on Twitter and Facebook. So if you look for it, you will find it. But the official announcement will be very soon. So please look out for that. We are very excited about it. But that will do it for this episode. And guys, can't wait to see you next time on this crazy island we're stuck on.
Born to Run. That's next week.
Little tiny plane.
Ah!